My wife announced she's going on a solo vacation for a month, so I booked the same resort. When Catherine said she needed space to find herself, I just nodded. But when I saw the resort confirmation email on her laptop, Sunset Paradise in Bali, something clicked. The thing is, we'd talked about Bali for our anniversary last year. She said it was too touristy and we should go somewhere more authentic instead. Funny how her standards changed when Chase from her yoga class started posting Instagram stories from Southeast Asia. I called my buddy Ricky. Remember that Bali trip you've been planning? Yeah, why? Mind if I join? I'll book tonight. Dude, what about Catherine? She'll be there too. Different rooms though. Ricky laughed. This sounds like a disaster. I'm in. I didn't tell Catherine. Why would I? She made this decision unilaterally, springing it on me over Chinese takeout like she was announcing a dentist appointment. I need this for my mental health, she'd said, scrolling through resort photos while I paid the delivery guy. Friday morning at breakfast, she's scrolling her phone excitedly. Babe, I got a spa package upgrade. This is going to be so relaxing. That's great, I said, cutting my toast. I booked my vacation too. Her head snapped up. What vacation? Bali. Same dates as yours. The color drained from her face. You can't be serious. Why not? You said you needed space. Bali's a big island. She started stammering about how this was supposed to be her thing, her discovery time, how I was being controlling and jealous. The irony wasn't lost on me. The woman who checks my phone when I'm in the shower was calling me controlling. I just think it's weird you'd follow me, she said, her voice getting that whiny pitch it gets when she's caught. Follow you? Babe, I'm going with Ricky. We'll probably be at different parts of the island most of the time. That's when I dropped the bomb. Funny thing about needing space, I saw Chase's name on your resort booking confirmation. The silence was deafening. You know that moment in movies when everything goes quiet except for a ringing sound? It was exactly like that, except the ringing was our kitchen clock that I'd been meaning to fix for months. It's not what you think, she whispered. Then explain it, because from where I'm sitting, you planned a romantic getaway and tried to gaslight me into thinking it was self-discovery. She broke down completely. The ugly cry, mascara running, the whole performance. Turns out she'd been having an emotional affair for months. Started with just grabbing coffee after yoga class. Evolved into daily texting. Then late-night phone calls when I was working overtime. Chase gets me, she sobbed. He listens to me about my dreams. Your dreams of what? Cheating on your husband in Bali? She claimed they hadn't done anything physical yet, but this trip was supposed to be her chance to figure out her feelings without the pressure of our marriage hanging over her. The kicker? She'd been planning this for 3 months. 3 months of lying to my face about needing space while secretly coordinating with another man. She'd even told her sister it was a girls' trip. I was going to tell you, she said, which might be the most ridiculous lie in the history of marriage. When? From the resort hot tub? I canceled my Bali trip that afternoon. Ricky was disappointed but understood. Instead, I spent the weekend calling lawyers and moving money into a separate account. By Sunday, I'd filed for divorce and changed all our streaming passwords. Catherine's still in Bali, posting cryptic Instagram quotes about new beginnings and authentic living. Chase's wife found out on day 3 and served him papers at his office. Apparently, Catherine's spiritual journey got a lot less romantic when his credit cards got frozen. The best part? Catherine keeps texting me asking if I want to work things out when she gets back. Yesterday, she sent a photo of herself doing yoga on the beach with the caption, "Finding my inner peace." I replied with a photo of the divorce papers captioned, "Found my inner lawyer." While cleaning out the garage, I found a receipt for a storage unit I didn't know we had. I drove there the next day and used the code from the receipt. Inside was furniture, my grandmother's antique furniture that Catherine said she'd donated to charity. There were also boxes of my stuff, things I thought we'd lost in the move. In the back corner sat 2 packed suitcases with tags for a flight to Costa Rica dated for next month. Then I saw the folder on top labeled New Identity Documents. I stood there for like a solid minute, just staring at that folder. My hands were actually shaking when I opened it. Inside were passport applications, 3 of them, all with Catherine's photo but different names. Jennifer Walsh, Michelle Turner, Patricia Holloway. Each one looked professional, like someone who knew what they were doing had made them. I started pulling out my phone, taking pictures of everything. The furniture first. Those pieces my grandmother had left me specifically. I remembered helping her polish that mahogany dresser when I was a kid. Catherine knew what it meant to me, knew the history, and she'd just hidden it away here like trash. I photographed every angle, made sure the lighting was good enough to see the details. Then I moved to my boxes, my dad's old record collection that I thought had been damaged in the move, my college yearbooks, photos from before I met Catherine, memories she'd apparently decided I didn't deserve to keep. The more I documented, the more my shock turned into something else. Anger, maybe, or just clarity. The Costa Rica tickets were dated for February 18th. That was next month. 2 one-way tickets to San Jose. I took close-ups of those too, making sure the dates and names were visible. Catherine Walsh and Chase Morgan. So they'd been planning this for a while, long enough to book international flights and apparently create fake identities. But the bank statements were what really got me. They were in a separate folder, printed on regular paper like she'd been keeping records. Our joint account, the one I'd been depositing my paycheck into for the last 5 years, showed withdrawals I'd never made. $2,000 here, $2,000 there, sometimes $3,000, going back 18 months, which meant this had been happening since way before Chase even entered the picture. I did the math on my phone's calculator. Roughly $2,000 per month for 18 months. That's like $36,000. Money I'd been working overtime for, thinking we were saving for a house, thinking we were building a future together. My hands were steadier now as I photographed each statement. The account numbers, the dates, the amounts, everything. I was still standing in that storage unit when I called David, my divorce attorney. It was almost 7 p.m., but he picked up anyway. Got something you need to see, I told him. Can I email you from here? Sure. What is it? Photos of stolen property, fake identity documents, and proof she's been stealing from our joint account for over a year. There was a pause. I'll wait for the email. I sent everything from my phone right there in the parking lot. 23 photos total. While I waited for David to look through them, I just sat in my car with the engine running, heat blasting, trying to process what I'd found. David called back 10 minutes later. This is worse than I thought, he said. His usual calm lawyer voice sounded actually surprised. You need to secure your remaining joint assets immediately. First thing tomorrow, go to your bank and freeze any accounts she has access to. Already moved my paycheck to a separate account, I told him. Good, but check everything else. Credit cards, loans, anything with both your names on it. If she's been planning to disappear with fake identities, there might be more financial irregularities we haven't found yet. I drove straight to the bank the next morning when they opened at 9 a.m. I'd barely slept, just kept thinking about those passport applications. 3 different identities. Who does that? The bank manager, this guy named Steven, who I'd worked with before to set up our accounts, looked concerned when I explained what I needed. I need to see everything in both our names, I said. Every account, every card, every loan, all of it. He pulled up our file and his expression changed. Oh, there's a credit card here I don't remember discussing with you. Show me. It was a joint credit card, opened 8 months ago, that I'd never seen or signed for. The balance was $45,000. $45,000. The statement showed charges at high-end restaurants, luxury hotels, a jewelry store I'd never heard of. All stuff I definitely didn't buy. She forged my signature, I said, staring at the screen. Steven looked uncomfortable. I can't confirm that without an investigation, but you should probably file a fraud report. I took copies of everything and called David from my car again. $45,000, I told him. She maxed out a credit card I never agreed to. That's identity theft and fraud, David said. We can definitely use this. Anything else? Not yet, but I'm checking. I spent the rest of the day at my kitchen table, laptop open, going through our financial records like a forensic accountant. Around 3 p.m., I found something else. An email confirmation from 9 months ago for something called Heirloom Furniture Documentation Services. The email mentioned my grandmother's furniture specifically. There was a PDF attached, donation receipts to some charity I'd never heard of, tax deduction receipts for $60,000 worth of antique furniture, donated in my name, signed with my signature, except I never donated anything. I never even heard of this charity. I called the estate executor, my grandmother's old lawyer, Frank, who'd helped settle everything when she passed. Frank, do you still have the inventory list from Gran's estate? Sure, should have it in the file. Why? I need you to look at some photos. I emailed him the pictures from the storage unit. 5 minutes later, he called back. That's definitely your grandmother's furniture, he said. The mahogany dresser, the writing desk, the dining chairs, all of it. Where did you find this? Storage unit my wife apparently rented without telling me. She told me she donated it all. Frank went quiet for a second. She actually sent me paperwork about that. Said you'd agreed to donate it for the tax deduction. I thought it was legitimate. I never agreed to anything. Can you confirm the value? Based on the appraisals we did for the estate, I'd say those pieces together are worth approximately $60,000. Maybe more at auction. $60,000 worth of my family's history, hidden in a storage unit while she filed fake tax deductions. I thanked Frank and hung up. That afternoon, I drove back to the storage unit with my buddy Ricky and his truck. We loaded up all the furniture, carefully, and took it to a secure storage facility that David had recommended, one with cameras and better security. Then I changed the locks on the original unit, just in case Catherine had plans to come back. I was exhausted by the time I got home around 8 p.m., but I couldn't stop. Something was nagging at me, some feeling that there was more I hadn't found yet. I pulled up our joint credit report online, entered both our social security numbers, and there it was. A personal loan, $75,000, taken out 6 months ago, using our house as collateral. I literally felt sick, like actually nauseous. I'd been making the mortgage payments every month, careful about it, proud that we were building equity. And she'd taken out a loan against the house without even telling me, without me signing anything. The bank's website showed the loan details. Monthly payments of $800, which explained why our joint account had been tighter lately. I'd thought maybe inflation or something. The loan had been dispersed as a lump sum 6 months ago, and according to the transaction history, the money had been wire transferred to 3 different accounts. 2 were in Costa Rica. 1 was in the Cayman Islands. I sat there at my computer just staring at the screen. This wasn't just an affair. This wasn't just a woman having a midlife crisis or whatever. This was calculated. This was planned. This was theft. My phone buzzed. Catherine. Video call from Bali. I almost didn't answer, but you know what? I wanted to see her face when I asked her about this. She was on a beach lounger, wearing sunglasses, looking incredibly pleased with herself. There was a half-empty cocktail on the table next to her. "Hey babe," she said, way too cheerful. "I've been thinking about what you said, and I think maybe we should." I found the storage unit. Her whole face changed. The smile vanished. She sat up straighter, pushed her sunglasses up into her hair. "What storage unit?" "The one with my grandmother's furniture. The one with the Costa Rica tickets. The one with your fake passport applications." She went completely white, like all the color just drained out. "I can explain. Which name should I call you? Jennifer? Michelle? Patricia?" She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. "You went through my stuff." "Your stuff?" "It was hidden in a storage unit I'm apparently paying for without knowing it, along with my grandmother's furniture that you stole. I didn't steal anything. And the $75,000 loan you took out against our house, that you forged my signature for." Her eyes went wide. "How did you?" "Same way I found the $45,000 credit card you maxed out in my name. Same way I found the offshore accounts. Want to explain any of that?" She stood up so fast her lounger tipped over. This is a violation of privacy." "Privacy? You've been stealing from me for over a year." "I didn't. I wasn't. Someone must have." She looked around frantically, like she was trying to find an escape route. "Someone's setting me up. Someone's trying to frame me. With your photo on the fake passports? I don't know anything about any Costa Rica plans." Her voice was getting shrill now, panicky. "I don't know about any offshore accounts. This is insane. You're insane." "The bank statements had your login credentials, Catherine." She just stared at me through the screen, breathing hard, and then she ended the call. I sat there for a minute, phone still in my hand, and then I realized something. I'd been recording the whole thing. My phone automatically records video calls to the cloud. I pulled up the file and watched it again, taking notes every time she contradicted herself. First, she said she didn't know about the storage unit. Then she called it my stuff. First, she said someone was framing her. Then she got defensive about me finding the bank statements. I sent the video to David with a note. "Might want to see this." Within an hour, Catherine tried calling back, then texting, then calling again. 18 missed calls by the time I finally picked up. "We need to talk," she said. Her voice was different now, not panicked anymore, measured, like she'd had time to think about her strategy. "Face to face. When I get back, you're not getting back in this house. It's my house too, that you put at risk with a fraudulent loan. My lawyer will be in touch." I hung up. That night, I got a message on Facebook from someone I didn't know, Ashley Morgan. I clicked on her profile and realized this was Chase's wife. "Can we meet?" her message said. "I think we should compare notes." We met at a coffee shop the next morning, this place downtown that's usually empty. She was already there when I arrived, sitting in the back corner, and she looked like she'd been crying recently. Her eyes were red, makeup a little smudged. "Thanks for meeting me," she said when I sat down. "I know this is weird." At this point, nothing's weird anymore. She pulled out her phone. I found text messages between Catherine and Chase. They go back 8 months, and they're not just emotional affair texts. She turned the phone to show me. The messages were explicit. Photos, plans, things I really didn't need to see but also kind of needed to see, you know? Proof that Catherine had been lying about it not being physical. But worse than that, there were messages about Costa Rica, about the resort, about the jobs Chase had supposedly lined up for them at some beachfront hotel his cousin managed. They were planning to disappear, Ashley said. Chase sold his entire car collection. He's been pulling money from his retirement accounts. I think between both of them, they've got like $200,000 saved up. $200,000. My $75,000 from the house loan, $45,000 from the credit card, $36,000 from the joint account siphoning, plus whatever Chase had contributed. It made sense now. This wasn't just running away together. This was planned retirement. "What are you going to do?" I asked. "I already filed," she said. "Served him at his office 3 days ago. He lost it apparently, through a chair." Catherine cut her Bali trip short, I told her. "She's flying back today. Good luck to her." Ashley took a sip of her coffee. "Chase's accounts are frozen. All of them. His lawyer made sure of it during the temporary custody hearing. Whatever money he put into their escape plan, it's locked down now." We talked for another hour, sharing information. putting together the timeline. Turns out Catherine and Chase had met at yoga 14 months ago. Ashley had encouraged Chase to take the class for his back problems. The affair started almost immediately, based on the timestamps on the first flirty texts. When I got home that afternoon, I noticed something immediately. The front door was unlocked. I always lock it. I stepped inside carefully and realized stuff was missing. My dad's watch collection that I kept in the bedroom dresser, our expensive camera equipment from the closet, the gaming laptop Catherine had given me for my birthday, which I should have known was just guilt. I checked the security footage from the doorbell camera. Catherine had arrived at 11:47 a.m., used her key to get in, and spent 43 minutes inside before leaving with 2 large bags. She'd come home while I was meeting with Ashley. I called David immediately. She broke in and stole more stuff. Not legally breaking in since she's still married to you, David said, but document everything that's missing. We'll add it to the divorce petition. I spent the next 2 hours making a list and changing the locks. Called a locksmith, paid extra for same-day service, and by 6 p.m. I had brand new keys and Catherine's old ones wouldn't work anymore. She showed up around 8 p.m., suitcase in hand, clearly jet-lagged and not expecting the lock change. I watched through the doorbell camera as she tried her key 3 times, confused, then progressively more angry. She started pounding on the door. "Let me in! This is my house too!" I spoke through the doorbell speaker. "You gave up rights to this house when you took out a fraudulent loan against it. That's not how marriage works. You can't just lock me out. Watch me. You want your stuff? Your lawyer can coordinate with mine." "I don't have a lawyer." "Then I guess you should get one." She stood there for a minute, breathing hard, and then she did something I didn't expect. She pulled out her phone and started recording herself. "My husband has locked me out of my own home," she said to the camera, her voice shaking with fake emotion. "He's being emotionally abusive and controlling. I'm scared for my safety." She looked directly at the doorbell camera. "Everyone needs to see what kind of man he really is." I saved that footage too, added it to my growing collection. Over the next week, Catherine launched a full social media campaign. Instagram posts with vague captions like, "Sometimes the person you trust most is the one who betrays you." Facebook updates about financial abuse and controlling behavior. She even changed her profile picture to one of her crying, mascara running, looking devastated. Our mutual friends started reaching out. "Is everything okay? What's going on with you and Catherine?" She's saying some pretty serious things. I didn't respond to most of them at first. David had advised me to stay quiet, let her dig her own grave. But after the 5th friend called asking why I was supposedly hiding assets and manipulating Catherine, I'd had enough. I created a private Google Drive folder, put in the storage unit photos, the fake passport applications, the bank statements showing the theft, the loan documents with the forged signature, screenshots of her contradicting herself about knowing the storage unit code, everything. Then I sent the link to the 10 friends who'd asked for my side. The response was immediate. Within an hour, I was getting texts like, "Holy shit, dude," and "I had no idea and she's actually insane." 2 of them forwarded me screenshots of Catherine's old social media posts where she'd tagged Chase at various restaurants and hotels, posts I'd never seen because she'd hidden them from me specifically. The social media campaign stopped pretty quickly after that. Catherine deleted most of her posts about me, though she left up the crying selfie. Some of our friends commented on it, calling her out, and she disabled comments entirely. Her sister called me on Thursday, Lauren, the one Catherine had told about the fake girls' trip. "I'm so sorry," Lauren said immediately. "I had no idea. She told me you guys were having problems, that you were gambling or something, and she needed to get away to think. I don't gamble." "Yeah, I figured that out. Our mom called me yesterday. Catherine tried to borrow $15,000 from them, said it was for legal fees because you'd frozen her out financially. I moved my paycheck to a separate account after filing for divorce. That's it," Lauren sighed. Our mom asked her point blank about the storage unit and the fake passports. Catherine broke down and admitted everything. Well, most of it. She's still claiming the affair with Chase wasn't physical. It was. I've seen the texts. Of course it was. Lauren sounded exhausted. "Look, I just want you to know that I never believed her stories about you. Not really. You've always been good to her. Way better than she deserved, apparently." We talked for a few more minutes. She told me their parents were furious with Catherine, had refused to give her money, and were insisting she take responsibility for her actions. Apparently, this wasn't even the first time Catherine had stolen from family. She'd taken $12,000 from their parents' savings account 2 years ago, claimed it was for a business investment that never materialized. "I should have warned you," Lauren said, "when you guys got engaged, but I thought maybe marriage would change her." After we hung up, I sat there thinking about all the times Catherine had asked to borrow money from me during our marriage. Small amounts, 100 here, 200 there, always with some excuse about her paycheck being delayed or an unexpected bill. I'd never asked for it back, never even thought about it as loans. That's what marriage was supposed to be, right? Sharing everything. Except she wasn't sharing, she was taking. Saturday morning, I was drinking coffee and scrolling through the Costa Rica property listings website, just curious, when I found something. A beachfront condo in Tamarindo, listed as pending sale, deposit received. The listing agent's name was in the corner. I called the number. "Hello, Tropical Paradise Realty?" A woman answered with a slight accent. "Hi, I'm calling about a property in Tamarindo. Beachfront condo, I think it was listed at $350,000. "Oh yes, that one. Unfortunately, it's no longer available. The sale fell through last week." "Really? What happened?" "The buyers had some financial difficulties. They'd put down a $15,000 deposit, but when it came time for the next payment, their funds were frozen. It's a shame. They seemed like such a nice couple." "Were they American?" "Yes. Young couple planning to start a new life here. Very sweet. But you know, these things happen. We had to forfeit their deposit per the contract terms. $15,000 gone. Part of the money Catherine had stolen from our accounts just evaporated because Chase's assets got locked down in his divorce. I almost felt bad for her. Almost. I thanked the agent and hung up. Then I started looking at Catherine's online listings. She'd opened an eBay account a week ago and was selling stuff. I recognized some of it immediately. My hiking backpack, my camping stove, even my good binoculars that had been a gift from my dad. I contacted every buyer directly before they completed their purchases. "This is stolen property," I wrote, including photos of myself with the items and the police report I'd filed about the theft. "The seller is my soon-to-be ex-wife who took these without permission." 3 buyers backed out immediately. One reported Catherine to eBay, and her account got suspended. She sent me a screaming text about ruining her life, which I forwarded to David with a note. More evidence of awareness. Then I got a message on LinkedIn from Chase. "Can we meet? I need to talk to you." We met at a pub, neutral territory. He looked terrible, honestly. Unshaven, bags under his eyes, wearing a wrinkled shirt. He ordered a whiskey straight away. "I'm an idiot," he said. "That's what I wanted to tell you. I'm a fucking idiot." I didn't disagree. "Catherine, she told me you were abusive. She showed me texts, messages where you were supposedly threatening her. She said she was terrified of you, that you controlled all the money and wouldn't let her have her own accounts. And you believed her? I thought I was rescuing her, man. I thought I was the good guy." He downed his whiskey. "She played me. She played both of us." He pulled out a folder and slid it across the table. "I thought you might want these. Her planning documents. I found them at my place after she moved out." Inside the folder were printouts. Lots of them. The Costa Rica condo listing, a job application for the resort, filled out with the name Patricia Holloway, and 3 separate fake identity packets, complete with fake birth certificates, fake social security numbers, fake employment histories. 3? I said, looking at the passports again. "Why would she need 3? In case one didn't work, I guess. Or in case she wanted to disappear from me too." Chase laughed bitterly. "She paid some forger $20,000 for all of this. I found the receipt. $20,000 to a forger. That money came from somewhere, probably our joint account, probably listed as business expenses or personal development courses or some other lie." Chase told me everything then, like he was confessing to a priest. How Catherine had approached him at yoga, not the other way around. How she'd been the one to suggest Costa Rica, to plan everything. How she'd convinced him to sell his car collection, to drain his retirement accounts. How she'd promised him they'd start over together, open a surf shop or something, live a simple life on the beach. She had this journal, he said, full of research about countries with no extradition treaties. Costa Rica wasn't even her first choice. She'd considered Panama, Nicaragua, even Thailand. When did she start planning this? At least 2 years ago, based on the dates in the journal. Way before she met me. I think she was going to do this regardless, with or without a man to take along. That hit me harder than I expected. It meant Catherine had been planning to leave me since the beginning of our marriage, basically. While I was working overtime to save for a house, she was researching how to disappear. While I was thinking about our future together, she was preparing to erase her past. Chase finished his second whiskey. Her employer called me. By the way, they're investigating her expense reports. Turns out she's been inflating them for months, maybe longer, claiming business dinners that never happened, hotels she never stayed at, rental cars she never used. They're talking about $15,000 at minimum. They gonna press charges? I think so, yeah. They fired her yesterday, sent a demand letter for full repayment. We sat there for a while longer, 2 men who'd been manipulated by the same woman, sharing information like war veterans, swapping stories. Before he left, Chase gave me his new number. "I'm moving back to Wisconsin," he said, "staying with my brother for a while. My marriage is over, my job's gone, My life here is basically destroyed. Catherine did all that in less than a year. I watched him leave and felt something weird. Not sympathy exactly, but understanding. We'd both been tools in Catherine's plans, just in different ways. When I got home, there was a car in my driveway, Catherine's parents. Her mom was sitting in the passenger seat crying, and her dad was standing by the front door, looking uncomfortable. "She's staying with us," her dad said when I got out of my car. "We just wanted you to know, okay? And we want to apologize. We had no idea she'd been doing all this. The stealing, the lying, any of it." His voice cracked a little. "We raised her better than this." Her mom got out of the car, tissues in hand. "Is there anything we can do to help make this right? I appreciate it, but this is between me and Catherine now, and the lawyers. We could pay back some of the money," her dad offered. "We don't have much, but we could. You're retired. You shouldn't have to pay for your adult daughter's crimes." I meant it too. They seemed like decent people who just happened to raise a sociopath. Catherine's mom started crying harder. "She stole from us too, you know. 2 years ago, $12,000 from our savings. Said it was for a business investment, some multi-level marketing thing. We never saw a penny back." We stood there in my driveway for a few more minutes, them apologizing, me telling them it wasn't their fault. Finally, they left. Her mom still crying, her dad looking 10 years older than when I'd last seen him at Christmas. That night, I got 37 text messages from Catherine. They started apologetic. "I'm so sorry. I made terrible mistakes. Please, can we talk?" Then they got desperate. "I have nothing. I have nowhere to go. I need you." Then angry. "This is all your fault. If you'd been a better husband, I wouldn't have needed to leave." Then manipulative. "Remember our wedding day? Remember how happy we were? We can get back there." I didn't respond to any of them, just saved them all as screenshots and sent them to David. The divorce mediation happened on a Wednesday. Catherine showed up without an attorney, said she couldn't afford one. She sat across from me and David at a conference table, looking small and defeated in clothes I didn't recognize, probably borrowed from her sister. The mediator went through the assets. The house, which I'd been paying the mortgage on. The cars, mine was fully paid off. Hers had 3 years left on the loan. The furniture, most of which was mine from before the marriage or had been my grandmother's. The bank accounts, which were mostly empty thanks to Catherine's theft. "I want half of everything," Catherine said. "That's how divorce works." David slid a folder across the table. "Your client stole approximately $180,000 from my client over the course of 18 months. She forged his signature on legal documents. She fraudulently opened credit accounts in his name. She stole family heirlooms worth $60,000. She created fake identities with intent to flee the country. My client is being generous by not pressing criminal charges." Catherine's face went red. "I didn't steal anything. We have bank records. We have forged documents with your handwriting. We have testimony from the forger who made your fake passports." David's voice was calm, professional. "You can take what's being offered, your personal belongings and your car, or we can let a judge decide. But I promise you, a judge won't be as generous." The mediation ended with Catherine signing papers. She got her clothes, her jewelry, her car, and nothing else. I kept the house, the furniture, my dad's watch collection, everything that mattered. She tried to argue about the grandmother's furniture one more time, but the mediator shut her down after seeing the proof of ownership. I watched her sign her name on the final papers, and I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no anger, no relief, just empty. She left without looking at me. A few days later, I heard from Ashley that Chase had moved to Wisconsin like he said he would. She also told me that Chase and Catherine had a massive fight before he left, screaming at each other in the parking lot of his apartment complex. Neighbors called the cops because it got so loud. Chase blamed Catherine for ruining his life. Catherine blamed Chase for getting caught. Ashley sent me a text. They deserved each other. She wasn't wrong. Catherine started working at a Target, which I only knew because her sister mentioned it during a phone call. Full-time retail, minimum wage, a huge step down from her management position at the marketing firm she'd been fired from. Her social media posts stopped being about spiritual journeys and became sporadic complaints about rude customers and long hours. I sold the house 3 months later. Didn't want the memories. Didn't want to stay in the same place where I'd been played for a fool. Got a good price for it. Paid off the fraudulent loan Catherine had taken out and moved to a smaller place across town. 1 bedroom, big windows, quiet neighborhood. Catherine heard about the sale somehow. Maybe her sister told her. Maybe she was still watching my social media. She tried to claim she deserved half the proceeds, sent me these long emails about how the divorce decree was unfair and she was going to appeal. David responded with a reminder that she could still face criminal charges if she continued to harass me. The emails stopped. I started rebuilding my life, reconnected with friends I hadn't seen in years, guys from college I'd lost touch with. Turns out Catherine had been declining their invitations for the past 3 years without telling me. She'd say I was busy, or we had plans, or I wasn't feeling well. She'd been isolating me slowly, so gradually I hadn't even noticed. "We thought you just didn't want to hang out anymore," my friend Jake told me over beers one night. Catherine would always say you were working or whatever. I was never working those nights. She never even told me you invited us. That's messed up, man. It was messed up. All of it. But at least now I could see it clearly. 6 months after the divorce finalized, I got a notification from the payroll department at Catherine's former company. They'd garnished her wages for the expense report fraud, taking 40% of each paycheck until the debt was paid. At minimum wage, working at Target, that meant Catherine was living on basically nothing. Her sister called me again. Catherine's struggling, Lauren said carefully. She's barely making rent on her apartment. She's eating ramen every night. I'm not asking you to help her, but I thought you should know. I appreciate the update, I said. And I did, in a weird way. Not because I wanted Catherine to suffer, but because I wanted to know the consequences were real, Lauren sighed. She's in therapy now, finally. Says she's trying to understand why she did all this. That's good, I said. Genuinely. Yeah, I don't know if it'll help, but at least she's trying. We hung up and I felt something shift. Not forgiveness, but maybe the beginning of letting go. A few weeks later, I got a package in the mail. No return address, but I recognized the handwriting as Lauren's. Inside were my dad's watches. All of them. The collection Catherine had stolen and supposedly pawned. There was a note. Found these at a pawn shop downtown. Dad bought them back. He wanted you to have them, Lauren. I held my dad's old Seiko, the one he'd worn every day for 20 years, and I cried. First time I'd cried through the whole thing. Honestly. Not because of Catherine or the divorce or the stolen money. Just because some things mattered more than others, and I'd gotten back something that mattered. I called Lauren's dad to thank him. He brushed it off. Couldn't let those watches stay in a pawn shop, he said. Your father was a good man. You should have his things. Catherine tried one final manipulation. A long email, 8 paragraphs, about how she'd been in therapy and realized she needed closure. She wanted to meet in person, to apologize properly, to explain her side. She said she understood if I said no, but it would really help her healing process. I showed the email to my therapist, the one David had recommended 6 months ago. What do you think she wants? Dr. Patel asked. Control. She always wants control. And what do you want? I thought about it. To move on. Completely. Then respond accordingly. I sent back a single line. I wish you well in your healing process, but I don't think meeting would be beneficial for either of us. Take care. She responded within minutes. 3 more emails, progressively more desperate, then angry, then guilt-tripping. I blocked her email address and felt lighter than I had in months. The fake identity documents came back to haunt Catherine in the end, though not through me. The forger she'd paid $20,000 to got arrested for unrelated fraud charges. During his interrogation, he gave up his client list to the FBI as part of a plea deal. Catherine's name was on that list. All 3 fake names plus her real one. I got a call from an FBI agent asking if I knew anything about it. I told them about the divorce, about finding the documents in the storage unit, about the photos I'd taken. They thanked me and said they'd be in touch if they needed testimony. I never heard from them again, but Lauren told me later that Catherine had gotten a visit from federal agents. They'd warned her that creating fake identity documents was a federal crime, but since she hadn't actually used them, they weren't going to press charges. A warning only. Catherine got lucky, in a way. Or maybe the universe figured she'd been punished enough. I spent the next few months just existing, going to work, seeing friends, going to therapy, sleeping in a bed that had never belonged to Catherine. It wasn't exciting, but it was peaceful. For the first time in years, I wasn't waiting for the other shoe to drop. One Saturday, I went to an estate auction on a whim. My neighbor had mentioned it, said there was some cool vintage stuff. I wandered through the preview, looking at old furniture and antiques, when I saw something that made me stop. My grandmother's writing desk, the one from the storage unit, the one I'd moved to secure storage. No, not my grandmother's desk. A desk almost identical to it. Same style, same era, but with different hardware. I looked closer, checked the maker's mark. Similar, but not the same. The auctioneer explained it was part of a collection from a local estate, owned by a woman who'd passed away 6 months ago. Her family was selling everything. I bid on the desk, not because I needed it, but because it reminded me of what I'd almost lost. I won it for $8,000, which was a steal, honestly. When they delivered it the next week, I placed it in my living room, in the spot where morning light came through the window. I sat at it that evening with a cup of coffee and my laptop, and I felt like I was reclaiming something, even though this desk had never been mine to begin with. My grandmother's actual furniture sold at a different auction, the one David had arranged. The antiques dealer had been right. They were worth more than expected. The mahogany dresser alone went for $28,000. The full collection sold for $80,000 total. I used part of that money to pay off the debts Catherine had created that still had my name attached. The rest went into savings. Real savings this time, at a bank where only my name was on the account. Life got smaller after the divorce, but in a good way. Fewer complications, fewer secrets, fewer lies. Just me, my work, my friends, and a studio apartment with good light. I deleted all of Catherine's contact information from my phone, her number, her email, her sister's number, everyone associated with that part of my life. If they needed to reach me, they could go through David.